Hey, what is up, nation? In this session, I'm going to be going over some SketchUp basics, some tips to help you get into SketchUp if you're brand new to it, and how you can get started modeling right away. Okay, so I am in SketchUp here, and I'm going to try to take it really slow and explain sort of what is going on behind SketchUp. Now, I have a bunch of toolbars up here. Don't be afraid of those. Those are plugins, things that were added into SketchUp. Yours may have a lot less buttons, and for now, that might be okay. What we're going to mainly be using here is this left-hand toolbar here. So if you don't have that, you just want to right-click in an open space over here and make sure that you have the large tool set selected. And that'll be here. And if this is just sort of hanging out on the side, you can just drag it over to the side. It'll click in there, and then you have it docked on the side. So using keyboard shortcuts is incredibly important. I'll link a video in the description below where I show me modeling a Rubik's Cube with and without shortcuts and the time difference that makes. So if you're getting started with SketchUp, keyboard shortcuts are incredibly important thing to get in the habit of. This is going to be tough, I promise. It's difficult learning anything new, but if you get the right foundation, learn the keyboard shortcuts, then you're going to be so much faster later on, I promise. So we're going to try to take it super slow so that you can understand what we're doing, why we're doing it. And if for whatever reason you ever want to, there's a PDF that SketchUp puts out that has all the shortcuts. I'll link that in the description. But if for whatever reason you're in here and you don't have that open or you didn't print it out, you can always come here to the preferences, go to shortcuts, and then make your own, or see what some are. So here's some that are existing. So there's that. Basically, the most important thing to understand about SketchUp is that it is a face. It's based on faces. So that any geometry that you make is actually hollow inside, and it's not like a solid object. If you were to fly into that, it would be empty inside. So, and that's essentially how everything in SketchUp works. So we're going to start today by drawing a square. So I'm going to press L on my keyboard for line. There's also this pencil tool. That's the same thing. I'm going to draw a line, and I'm going to type in 5 feet. You can see in the bottom right, it says length 5 feet. So I'm going to just hit enter. You see that now I have a line that is 5 feet. So if I choose the tape measure tool and draw that line, you can see it says 5 feet. I'm just going to hit escape to get out of that operation and then draw another line that is 5 feet. I'm just going to do a quick square here. So you can see that SketchUp likes to snap to the axes. So it's going to sort of go in that direction. Blue is the vertical axis, and then there's the green and the red. So if I come down here, you see it snaps to that. You can also use the arrow keys on your keyboard to lock to an axis. So right there, I pressed the right arrow key and it locked to the red axis. I can move my cursor anywhere around and it will not move off the red axis. I can choose the left arrow key and it will lock to the green axis, and the up arrow will lock to the blue axis. So we're going to stick to green here. And then when we close this shape, what you'll see is that the shape fills in, because this is all that geometry that we just drew is on the same plane. So we just drew that. Now we want to sort of like zoom in so we can see what's going on. If you've never used any software, 3D software before, this can be a little bit of getting used to because it's just new. So we're going to come down here to the orbit tool. And you use the orbit tool to sort of move around a little bit. And then there's this pan tool. So the orbit tool will let you rotate around in 3D space. It'll take a little bit of getting used to. This pan will let you pan. So basically you're holding the image still and you're moving left, right, or up or down. If you ever get lost in 3D space, this zoom extents is very good. It'll zoom to, it'll give a little bit of border, but it'll basically show you everything that's modeled in your file. What's important is that you'll be moving around a lot. I use the middle mouse. If I hold that down, I can orbit. And then if I scroll up or scroll down on that mouse, I can zoom in or out. And you can see if I right click while I have the orbit tool selected, I then have some other options. So I can also pan. So also alternatively, there is an option while you're orbiting. If you hold down Shift, you can then pan left and right. And that'll essentially switch off of the orbit tool to pan. So that's just sort of helpful as you get modeling, that you're going to need to move around 3D space, and you're going to need to be pretty efficient with that. So practice that a little bit. Now the next thing I'm going to do, it is the fundamental part of SketchUp, is I'm going to push this geometry that we created. So I'm going to select this push-pull tool, and I'm going to push it up. You can see that on the bottom right, it's giving me my measurement. So I'm going to type 5 feet so we get a perfect cube. I'm going to select this zoom extends button so we can see our whole cube. And there we go, we have a cube. Now what happens here is then, if I wanted to add more onto this, I could certainly do that. Let's say this is a house and I want to make a little pitched roof. So I'm going to come over here to the center point here. I'm going to draw a vertical line up, and I'm going to close it off here and close it off here. I'm going to hit the space bar to deactivate that action. Select this line, hit the delete key, hit P for push pull, that was this button here, and then I'm going to push pull that all the way to the end. Hit the space bar to deactivate that action. And now I have a roof. You can also press E. I used the delete key before, but if you press E, you'll get the eraser tool, and you can erase lines just like that. So now we have this house-like thing. Let's say it's too tall. This doesn't really have the sort of geometry of a house. So what I'm going to do is make sure I have the select key selected, or the select tool selected. Select this area, hit M for move. Alternatively, you can select this button here, and then you can move this. So right now that's in the red axis. You can also use the green axis. If you're having trouble like I am right now getting to that green, you can press the arrow key again. So I just press the left arrow key and I'm locked there. But I want to move this down, so I'm going to press the up arrow to lock to the blue axis, and then just kind of eyeball it until it looks proportionally what I'm looking for. So that looks pretty good. So now we have that. This little house that is a little bit more proportional to what we think. Now, the thing to know about SketchUp is that as you go through and you create these geometries, I made that triangular roof on top of the square. But what happens when you draw things is they start to stick together. You can see now these are one object. I can select each different face, but if I go to push-pull this, the whole thing goes with it. It's not a separate geometry. Or if I go to push-pull this, it's all one geometry. So you want to make sure that you're using groups and components and separating things. So to do that, you just select what you want, right-click, and go to Make Group. A component, I'll post a video in the description below of the difference between groups and components, but components are essentially copies of the same thing. So when you change one, it'll change all of them. And groups are a single instance of that geometry. So that's how you make a group. And then to get into a group to edit it, you just double click, just double left click there. And you can see it gives this dotted outline around the shape. Now if I hit L here, to make another line, I can then draw a door here. So I have a door, and then I can just select this and delete it. So now we can see inside to our house. But that's using the line tool, but there are other tools to draw in SketchUp. So if I hit R for the rectangle tool, that is this tool over here. And I select that guy. He's not in the middle. And I'll show you how we can fix that. So let's say this is our door. You can then select that line, and you want to make sure that you have the lines that you selected. It's very easy to select some lines in the background. And it's also important to know that the way that you select, the direction that you select, so I selected from the top left to the bottom right. That'll select only the instances that are fully within my marquee, that square, that box that I'm making. If I was to go from the bottom right to the top left, it'll select everything that my marquee touches. So you can see that's a very different selection. And you'll need to know when you want to use which. So I'm just going to move this over, hit the Shift key to lock it on that red axis, and then I'm going to choose this midpoint here, that center point. And there we go. So we have our little opening. Now I'm going to hit the R tool again here and make that door. And then select this, reverse its face. If you ever decide on rendering, it's a good habit to get into switching your faces to the correct side so that they're all uniform. I'm going to make this a group. I'm going to hit Q. Q is the rotate tool. And we're going to rotate this door so it's a little bit open. So you can lock to axes in this as well. So I'm going to press up to lock to the blue axes. I'm going to choose this door here and just open it, let's say 45 degrees. You can see in the bottom right that it says angle 45 degrees. Just choose that, and now we have a door that is open. Kind of cute. So we have our door in there. Now let's say we want to put in a window. So let's select over here. Select this guy. So I chose the R for the rectangle tool. I drew that shape. And now what I want to do is hit M for move. And I'm going to select this endpoint. And I want to make a copy of it. So I'm going to hit Control here. That's going to make a copy of that shape. So I'm just going to delete these inners. And now I have two windows. Come to the other side. Well, let's say actually I want these to be symmetrical. So I'm going to select these two openings. I'm going to select them or hit move. I hit M for move there. Control to make a copy of that. Make sure that I'm in the red axis. And if you want to make sure, just press the right arrow key. And we're going to just come all the way over to the side here. And you can see we have additional openings. What I did there, it may have been easy to miss, selected these, and I came all the way over, so I'm pressing the right arrow key to lock. You can choose a face to reference. I could choose an edge here, but you can also choose a face. So we have our little windows. Now what's cool about using components is that when you make one, you can do sort of like this rough outline that I'm doing. But when you use a component, it'll change all the instances. So you can start with a rough outline, and then as you go, make more refined geometry that will update everywhere. That's kind of cool. I'm going to show you a couple more things. I'm going to choose a C for the circle tool. So I'm going to just choose that. Hit P for push pull. We're just going to bring this up. So you can see that we have this geometry here that we just kind of tacked on. What's cool about SketchUp is that you can edit things. So I've been drawing except for moving the house or the roof on the house, I've been drawing shapes on other shapes and subtracting them. What is cool about SketchUp is that you can start to transform shapes by the way that you edit them. So I made a cylinder here by hitting the circle tool and drawing a circle that's in a plane. But what's cool is that I can choose this shape here, and I can press S for the scale tool. That's also here. And you can start to transform that geometry. So you get more of a conical shape with that. So, and that goes with anything. If I quickly draw a cube here, select this top shape, press S for scale, you start to get these shapes. So this is more of a pyramidal shape, and I can do that with any face. So it starts to make the geometry sort of come to life. And maybe I don't want this hard edge here, but if you delete it, because that's not a planar line, it'll look kind of wonky, or it'll delete both faces because it's not planar. So what you can do here is hit E for the erase tool, and instead of just clicking on that line to delete it, what you want to do is hold down Control, and that'll actually allow you to hide the geometry. So it looks planar, but it's actually not. And if you want to ever get that line back, you just go to View, Hidden Geometry, and you can see that there is a dashed line in here, and that's that line that we just hid by using the eraser tool. So if you ever want to unhide that line, if you want that sharp edge back, you can always choose Unsoften, and that will get back. Or it may say unhide at some point, but that gives you that. And then the final thing that I want to talk about that's important to just understand, I said earlier that SketchUp is face-based. It's also line-based. So there's no such thing as a perfect circle in SketchUp. So if I press C for the circle tool, you can see down on the bottom right it says sides. That's because SketchUp doesn't have a circle. It's just based on a bunch of different lines. The more sides that it has, the more round it's going to look. But, let's say I have, what's a good number? Let's say 12. So we'll go half of what the standard is. You can see all of the little lines for this. And that might be fine if you're modeling something that's like in the background and it's far away, then you're saving on your space. But 24 I feel like is a pretty good, gives a pretty good amount of roundness. You don't really see all of the facets. If I choose that again and go, let's say 50, you may or may not notice a difference between these two. So just something to think about as you go through, and it helps just sort of understand that that's the way SketchUp is working. Because if you need to, like if I turn on Hidden Geometry, you can see all those facets. It helps you sort of construct things in a certain way. Knowing that these faces are flat, I can then come in here and extrude that piece on any of these because I have hidden geometry shown. I can show that, and maybe I just want to come back in and draw that line back in and move this down a little bit. So just understanding that that's the way that SketchUp is working is important. And if for whatever reason, I'm sure it's a pretty common thing for people to not understand what is going on with their geometry, why it's not connecting. Because SketchUp is face-based, any triangle you draw in any direction is going to make a face. As long as you connect 3 points, it could be anywhere, and it'll make a geometry. So let's say, I just want to connect some random points here. So we're going to delete some of these. Let's say I connect this point and this point, right? So this isn't going to make a geometry because this is rounded at the bottom, but if I select here, I then have a triangle and it makes that shape. Now I have a point here, I have a point here, and if I select up there, you can see I get a new face here. So it's important to just realize that SketchUp works in this way. That it's face-based, and if for whatever reason you can't get the face you're looking for with 4 or more points, you can always make a triangle and it'll make a shape. So hopefully this helped. If you have any specific questions about how to get started with SketchUp, any issues you're running into, feel free to leave that in the comments below. I love to answer all of the questions that I get, as long as it's not a technical issue that SketchUp really needs to deal with, like an issue you're having with the software, it's crashing or whatever. I'd love to be able to help you because that technical stuff I'm not really that good with, but modeling, totally something I can help with and love to help with. So just let me know in the comments below if you have any questions. If you have any specific questions about how to do something in SketchUp, or you're trying to make something, I'd love to make a tutorial on that, so let me know. And was this helpful? Is this helpful for you getting started? I hope you guys have a great day, and as always, happy hacking.
All right, designers, just because this episode of Designer Hacks is over doesn't mean we're leaving you out in the cold. Tony's got tons of great content available at designerhacks.com. So join Design Nation right now, and we'll see you on the next episode of Designer Hacks.